All right, everybody, how's it going? Here's my phone. I didn't turn the volume down. It's playing in the background. There we got that. Welcome to Gen X News. Woo! It is a crazy news day today. I started a little bit early. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get through a lot of this. I've got three major stories. I've got Trump and his announcement on the Gaza Strip. We got to talk about USAID or USAID, whichever one it is. We got to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a serial kind of killer weird cult, a Zizian cult. They call themselves Zizians. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that at the end. Andy No was reporting on it. So he does a lot of research into cults, trend cults, Antifa. He should know. I mean, he's been brutally attacked by Antifa. And we'll go into a lot of these topics, and it's heavy. There's a lot of stress about this, stress about Trump and Gaza. And there's a lot of people who are getting pissed basically because they think that if you make a criticism as Israel, and they're putting a whole bunch of rules and laws in place, they're just basically calling you woke right or anti-Semitic just because you're criticizing a government. It's getting out of hand, and I'm seeing it all over X. I'm also seeing a lot of mega people behaving very strange on X, very strange. We'll talk about this. Right now, of course, we are live on X, Rumble, and YouTube. Subscribe to one of those platforms. To do so, of course, you could just go to genxonx.com. There's the website right down there, genxonx.com. All of the links are there. You can also find links to the audio podcast platform. And I do have a Substack now. It is genxonx.substack.com. I also got my first subscriber on X. So I'll be putting some content for subscribers on X, maybe design some zines, do some live streams just on X for people who are subscribers. So you can go to Gen X News on X and become a subscriber. So much a month. I will put extra content there for you. Maybe I'll even do some polls and see what you guys want to hear. But right now, we're following these news stories because they're big. People are interested in them, and it's kind of a shit show. I mean, it really is a shit show. Right beside me here, you can see the website. We'll show you a little audio podcast. Tomorrow, we've got the Highgate Vampire Phenomenon with Gary Parsons, 4 p.m. Eastern. Had to be a little earlier. And so you can check it out here. We got what's the latest, what's going on, and I'll probably add some Substack links on there. So Gen X News, there we go. That's the website. Right, Trump and Gaza, Gaza Strip, Trump and Netanyahu. Of course, many of you may know that Netanyahu stopped by for a visit with President Trump the other day, and it was an interesting visit indeed. We're going to switch over, of course, to our handy dandy screen of. We're going to go on X first, and we got some videos to watch. We got some videos of Netanyahu and his goals. He's got some pretty ambitious goals over there in Gaza Strip. So let's take a look here and switch this around. I'm going to see who's in the room first. We got Jerry. We got Jonocide. Thanks, guys, for joining. We got a few people over on Rumble. We got quite a few people popping in on X. Make sure to do a thumbs up and say hi. If you guys put a hi in the live stream, even if you're just passing by on X, it helps the podcast grow. It helps things show up. Say hi on YouTube, subscribe, thumbs up, share. Same thing on Rumble. I really appreciate your support. It's so simple to do. Now let's get on to the news. We're going to go through the video footage here. Share screen. Now, I've got to find... Here we go. Is this the right one? There's this one, and then there is actually one on Trump. And, I must have closed it. Let's see here. We'll share this one. We can find the one on Trump in a little bit. This is Netanyahu. He's kind of listening. This is a different angle. I had the one. Let me see if I can find it. I had the one where Donald Trump does the actual speech where he's actually introducing. Yeah, I've got it right here. Okay. I'd actually rather, I'm going to show you the speech from two different angles. I'm going to show you it from the Donald Trump, the straight on one where Donald Trump announces his intention for the Gaza Strip. But then I want to show you this angle here. But I want to do that other one first. And it's being a pain in the butt. It's not letting me find it. Let's see. Boom. That's not it. Nope. It's being difficult. And I have it all set up here. And it's, let's see. Window, Chrome tab. Nope. Well, that's getting to be really annoying. Maybe I will have to, maybe I have too many screens. Let's stop sharing that one. And let's see if it likes only so many screens up. You know how these things get? They're like, oh, if you have more than 10 screens, I just can't show it to you. Here we go. Is it showing now? Here it is. Now it's showing. See, I had to get rid of one screen. I figured it out. All right. Well, let's pop this up into big and let's listen to Donald Trump's announcement about his intentions for Gaza Strip. Most of you may already know what this is.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. The U.S. will take over.
I love how he's talking about it like oh, it just kind of, it's going to be bad if they go back. It's bad because Israel bombed the shit out of them. They didn't have to. They could have done a peace deal, but they chose not to. Now, we're going to look at this because there's a really big divide. There's a lot of people who are excited. I'm literally seeing mega people who are posting and calling it instead of the Gaza Strip, the mega strip. They're seeing it like, like it's some kind of Las Vegas kind of development. And I find it, people's idea about Palestinians is really fucked up because they think they're all a bunch of terrorists. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. I've got some screenshots because we're going to talk about Israel's past and involvement and financial involvement with Gaza Strip. But these are not all terrorists. Most of these are just people trying to live. They have a different culture than us, and they've been blown to smithereens. And if you have any brains, you'll know that October 7th was a total setup. It was a total setup. People know it. Israel knows it. Netanyahu knows that he had that set up, that he allowed that to happen. This is the game. So that gives them an excuse to go then in there and obliterate things and bomb things. The same way we've done for years when we attacked Iraq, a whole bunch of other countries. We create these circumstances and set them up 9/11 so we can go in there and do some crazy stuff. Netanyahu knows he's done that. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. But people are saying, oh, well, Trump is at Netanyahu's whim. He's bought out by Israel and stuff. And then some people are saying, no, Trump's doing 5D chess and, he's got this thing and that. There's an angle of Netanyahu while he's speaking, and Netanyahu looks kind of confused. So I'll let you guys check out the angle and decide for yourself if you think Netanyahu looks confused, like he's hearing this announcement that Gaza Strip's going to be America, thinking maybe it's going to be his. Okay, so I want you guys to here it is. We're going to bring this big. This post is from the Patriot Voice at TBV_John. You can check him out. And he says, it's quite interesting to see the look on Netanyahu's face as real Donald Trump says that the U.S. will be taking over and rebuilding Gaza. When you look at him from this angle, this is a different angle from the video I just showed you, Netanyahu looks like he was totally blindsided and looks visibly annoyed. So let's check him out Does Netanyahu look like he's been blindsided? He's shocked by what Trump is saying, that America is going to occupy Gaza.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation.
Okay, so that's the video clip. So is Genocide says he doesn't want Gaza Strip, he wants Greenland. Here's the thing. Is Donald Trump sincere that he wants to rebuild it for the Palestinian people? Because it seems like he's looking for places to go. Look, the numbers are there was 2.3 million Palestinians before this war and attack, and now there's 1.7 million. So that means 600,000 people are missing or dead. That's a lot of dead bodies. And a lot of people are calling them terrorists, that they, deserve to die. And it's simply just erroneously not true. Now, if you know any history, I'm going to pull this up. I've got some screenshots here. Bring some receipts with me. If you know any history about, and I'm just going to do the ABC. I'm sure it's much more vast and involved and complicated. But Palestine used to be run by secular, kind of government called the PLO. I think it was headed up by Yasser Arafat, okay? And they're very secular. They were not extremist in the same way that Hamas is extremist. So we've got some, we're going to pop this up and I'm going to read this to you. Here it says, within the occupied Palestinian territories, the search for alternatives to the PLO, that was the party that Yasser Arafat led, non-secular party. So Israel is looking for alternatives to the PLO. The Israel officials believed it would be better represented Palestinians and would be more cooperative with Israel if they had non-PLO groups, while simultaneously cracking down and taking military action against PLO centers of influence. Remember, the PLO was a secular government. So one prominent example of this policy was the Palestinian Village Leagues in the late 1970s and early 1980s, who were based on rural, traditional societal structures and were provided weapons by Israel. So Israel was providing weapons to certain groups to take out the PLO, while the Israeli government simultaneously moved to forcibly disband elected Palestinian urban city councils. They were literally democratically elected, and Israel was always trying to disband them and give weapons to other people, basically radicals. A lot of the supporters that people who were elected were run by the PLO. So another alternative to the PLO that Israel encouraged was Islamic politician Ahmad Yassin, a Muslim Brotherhood member who ran a network of mosques, clubs, and schools in Gaza. During the 1970s and 80s, Israel granted licenses and support to Yassin so that he could build and expand his network. American researcher Jonathan Schanzer wrote that by the late 1970s, the Israelis believed that they had found the Fatah's Achilles heel. Fatah had become anxious over the growing influence of Muslim Brotherhood in Gaza. It wasn't Muslim before. Remember this. They were secular, okay? And this happens all the time in these countries. They have a secular government. They're doing okay. And the CIA or, Mossad or someone goes in there and tries to put radicals in. They're saying the Israelis subsequently made the ill-fated decision to permit the Brotherhood to operate with relatively little oversight so that it would undermine the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, the secular organization there run by Yasser Arafat. In the late 1980s, Yassin's network would evolve into the armed Islamist and national group Hamas. They gave it to them. They also funded them. They also gave them money too. This doesn't really mention that. Former Israeli officials have openly acknowledged Israel's role in providing funding and assistance to Yazan's network that would become Hamas, guys. And it was Islamic against the secular group that was there. Okay? And it was as a means of undermining secular left-wing Palestinian factions that made up the PLO. Brigadier General Yitzhak Segev, who served as the Israeli military governor in Gaza during the early 1980s, admitted to providing financial assistance to the Mujama al-Siyama, the precursor of Hamas, on the instructions of Israeli authorities. Former Israeli Civil Administration Director Ephraim Sna stated in 1992 that we saw the fundamentalists mainly as unthreatening social force aiming to improve bad conditions and standards of living of Palestinians. I think that's bullshit. I don't think they saw that at all. I think they saw them as radical and that it would prove to be destabilize the PLO. And the PLO was secular, by the way, and democratic. People were being elected democratically. We now know that we must make a distinction between Hamas, with whom we have nothing in common, and the moderate mainstream secular among the Palestinians, okay? So what you don't understand is there's secularists among the Palestinians, but they have been funding Hamas all along, and Hamas took over in 2005, and they've never given up. They've never had elections. They've never had any of the secular stuff that was happening before. That was put in power by Israel. So all you guys whining on about all these radicals, Israel did that, just like the CIA does that. Okay? So now we have this other thing here. Israel backing Qatar and sending millions of dollars to Gaza. This is recent. This is like 2018. Qatar started sending money to the Gaza Strip on a monthly basis in 2018. They would put $15 million worth of cash-filled suitcases and transport them into Gaza by Qataris via Israeli territory. The payments commenced due to the 2017 decision by the Palestinian Authority, an administration in the Israel-occupied West Bank and rival to Hamas, to cut government employee salaries in Gaza. At the time, the PA objected to the funds, which Hamas said was intended for both medical and governmental salary payments. In 2018, Israel's government approved the agreement. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has defended allowing transfer of millions of dollars to the Hamas-run Gaza, despite criticism from within his own government, including the education minister Naftali Bennett. After 2023 Hamas-led attack on Israel, Netanyahu denied claims that he facilitated financing. So he's basically trying to memory hole this whole entire shit, guys. Like, it's crazy. So when anyone tells me that they didn't fund it, they did. They put these guys in. They allowed them to take control. These guys were an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. They became Hamas, and they let them do it. They financed them. They encouraged it. They were going against a democratic, secular organizations that were already there. And they didn't do it because they thought it would be better. I think that's bullshit. They did it to destabilize them and take over. And so we get something like this because they can use radicals. They do it all the time. The same thing happened in Iran. Jimmy Carter did a bunch of mucking around in there. You know, Iran was secular in the 70s. These girls in miniskirts. Same thing happened there, where you've got these women who are secular, a government that's fairly secular, and you get us meddling in there with Jimmy Carter, and you get all these crazy extremists that take over, and next thing you know, it's radical, and now there's all these terrorists, and there's women having to wear burqas, and it's all crazy. And now they're all terrorists, but we created them. Israel also created ISIS. We created the Taliban. We helped fund Saddam Hussein. I mean, it gets crazy. And that's what I want to cover, because I see so many MAGA people calling these Palestinian people terrorists, and they're literally hostages from terrorists that were funded by Israel. And I can't stress that more. any more than I do all the time. I stress this all the time, and I get people flipping out like they think they know everything. And they're like, Hamas is the Muslim Brotherhood. It's like, yeah, we know it is. We know it is. We know that's how it happened. I just explained it to you. Okay, so there's that. But for Bibi Netanyahu, this is seriously a religious thing for him. We're going to share our screen again. We're going to go into some nice little videos talking about the red heifer. I've done this before, and talking about Bibi and his whole entire, shall we say, belief in the coming of the Messiah, which as a Christian, if you are really a Christian, you don't believe the Messiah is coming. You believe the Messiah has already been here. But Israelis believe your Messiah is burning in hell, essentially. So I don't know. Let's go and check out what is influencing Bibi, because there might be economic stuff, but I think there's this huge religious element influencing him. There's a lot of these radical Orthodox the kind of rabbis that have been influencing him in the past, and currently the court in Israel is really stacked with a lot of really religious people now. So he's got a lot of people who want to push in this idea that the Messiah is coming, and it's actually kind of fucking crazy. Let's go and look over at TikTok and see. We will let's watch the Netanyahu one, and then we'll have fun and look at the red heifer stuff. And let's see where we're going here. Okay, so before we get here, this is Netanyahu when he was younger. And it's Lubavitcher Rebbe asking Benjamin Netanyahu why he isn't speeding up the coming of the promised Messiah. And he says, when will the Messiah come, and how will he fulfill his prophecy? And this rabbi basically told Netanyahu, they're not speaking English here. This is why I'm telling you. He told Netanyahu that he believed that Netanyahu would become president one day, and he would be the one to bring about the Messiah. Here we go. Let's check it out.
אני צריך מגזר, וברכה והצלחה, שתפלא ובתשיר, בכל העניינים, בזמן שישראל לאחרונה ניתצו כמה עניינים, מה שרואה עוד, וגם משהו שעדיין משאיר ליבו.
Saying something has to hasten the Messiah's coming. And Netanyahu says, we're doing it. And then he says, apparently it's not enough. Okay, so it's hard to understand that because it's English, but he's saying, where has he come? Where is he? We need to bring about this Messiah. So this is a force. Like, they're not letting the Messiah just come because he comes. They're saying, it's time. I've had a premonition. We have to make this Messiah come. And so a lot of this taking over the Gaza Strip for Netanyahu goes back to these kind of meetings. So here we will look at another video that talks about the whole process and what they have to do. There's this whole biblical process where part of the coming of the Messiah is to build the third temple. In Christianity, that's like the Antichrist. We're like, oh my God, the Messiah's already been here. He's already come. You rejected him. If you're trying to force a Messiah, it's probably going to be a false one, because Jesus is going to come when Jesus comes. You can't force it, kind of thing. You don't have to believe any of this stuff, but they believe it. Okay, so here we go. Let's share the red heifer. Where is the red heifer? There we go. Share. Here we go. Check it out.
Wild. It's written for the temple to be rebuilt. That ushers in the end times. All the tools that they use within the temple need to be cleansed. In order to do that, they sacrifice a red heifer. There's only been 9 red heifers ever sacrificed. The last red heifer have been sacrificed was 2,000 years ago. A cattle rancher in Texas, got invited with these rabbis to go look for red heifer. They found 5. The process was insane. They could never have been yoked. No one could have leaned on them. That's why it's been 2,000 years. They determined, we finally found them. These 5 heifers are in Israel right now being like protected and guarded. They have 9 months to sacrifice this red heifer because they can't be like, older than 3 years old. He's basically saying like, if this happens, you know we're now in the trajectory of this end times prophecy stuff. What's crazy too, with each sacrifice, they always mix the ashes of the previous red heifers. When they found the Dead Sea Scrolls, they also found a jar that had the previous 9 red heifers' ashes in it.
Weird.
Dating back to Moses.
What is the red heifer?
Yo, this
Okay, that's the red heifer stuff. So apparently they have found it. Apparently the red heifers were found. So Netanyahu's like, okay, we got to sacrifice these red heifers, and they use the ashes to cleanse the temple that they have to build. And so this whole area, apparently in Gaza, there is like just ancient land that the temple, but it's there. They have to build it. So this is what this is about. And I've seen a lot of people be, a lot like cheering this on. And I don't know, if you're a Christian, you might want to relook at what their whole premise is in there, what they're doing, what's going on with this war. Why do they want to occupy Gaza? Is Donald Trump sincere? Is he in charge? He wants America to occupy that land. Does he want to do it for the good of the Palestinian people? I know he's just in. He wasn't in. It was all this stuff was done under Biden's regime, and I believe that was a bonus to Israel because Biden was so weak. I mean, but we've always been funding both sides. Things are chaotic. God, we're going to be talking about USAID pretty soon, and I mean, I have a list of stuff that the USAID was donating to, and it gets bizarre. Maybe they were donating to that. I have no idea. But Meg is being really weird. I have one more video to share about this with Ian Carroll. He's kind of got this idea that maybe U.S. occupation will be good. I just think if you believe in end times, if you believe in biblical prophecy, this is what it's all about. For Netanyahu, at some level, and these really religious people, they're excited because they are bringing about the Messiah. And I think at the root to this, it's this for them. For Trump, it's money. He may not even realize he's serving some kind of, for Trump, it's development. He's a businessman, right? And I just find it really sad that these people are displaced. Most of them are not terrorists. They're victims here. They're victims of all of this bullshit that's going on. I know a British woman that actually, lived in Palestine, and she said she had a great experience. She lived there for a while, and the Palestinian people were good to her. She's like, she wasn't pro-Hamas. She's just saying that's a totally different thing. That's a totally different thing. That's like saying the Unabomber is all Americans. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Or saying some gangster in Chicago represents all Americans. It's just ridiculous. And it's absurd. Let's see if I can find. Yeah. I'm not sure I agree with Ian Carroll on this, by the way. We will go and have a look at what Ian's saying. Unpopular opinion, he says. There seems to be more to Trump's plan for Gaza than meets the eye. Okay. This is a 9-minute video.
More Israeli settlers
some of it.
until eventually Gaza is no more. Then they can turn to the West Bank and deal with that. And America's been kicked in the dick by Israel so many times for so long that it makes perfect sense to just take that read of this situation. Trump has accepted huge amounts of money from Zionists like the Adelsons. He's got all kinds of Zionist ties. He's proclaimed his allegiance to Israel many, many times. But when we try to give an explanation for what we see in the world, you have to actually see what is actually happening. Every little thing about it has to be explained by your thesis. If there's something that's not explained by it, then your thesis might be wrong, because the real explanation for what's really going on explains everything that's going on. And if there's something off,
there's multiple explanations.
You should look
sometimes.
at that. Before we get too deep into this, let's be clear. I am not optimistic. I am super concerned. Either that Trump is going to do a half-assed job of this and then Israel will swoop in and continue what they started, or that Trump is playing everybody and it's really just a play for his donors from Israel and it's actually just an Israel thing. But there are pieces of evidence of what's going on here that point to a bigger play that we should all at least be aware of. And one can hope, okay, so here is the part that doesn't make sense. Trump and Bibi's relationship has been strained lately. It's been weird. Trump has recently reshared Jeffrey Sachs calling Netanyahu a deep, dark son of a bitch. Trump has snubbed Bibi on a number of occasions, and Bibi did not attend Trump's inauguration after Trump said some stuff that maybe
they don't usually attend inaugurations.
And then
actually,
the internet started to notice
just so you know,
that it doesn't look like Trump told Bibi about this announcement before the press conference where he announced it.
Yeah, it looks like Bibi's surprised.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza
That's just the video I played for you guys.
And we will do a job.
Looks like he's surprised that the U.S. is going to take over.
Responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous, unexploded.
And try to figure out what he thinks is going on. And I'm not saying I endorse this, and I'm not saying that I think that Trump is right. I don't have a good solution, because any solution where you let Palestine and Israel keep doing what they're doing will inevitably end in more bloodshed. It just will. Either you move all the Jews out and you get rid of Israel, and that's full of bloodshed and problems, or you let Israel ethnically cleanse and genocide Gaza, and that's duh.
Well,
and so
the problem was they let Hamas in and they built them up in the first place. That's the problem, because Israel has an expansionist idea. They also have a religious idea pushing them. So we'll end there on that one. Okay, you guys can tell me what you think. We're going to go move into USAID, but I'm not optimistic about it. And my deepest concern is that you have all these ancient buildings blown to smithereen, all this history there, and people are displaced. Netanyahu, he's Polish, okay? A lot of these people are actually European. They're not Semites. They're not from that area. The Palestinians are from that area, okay? And they're being displaced. And if we are doing this and then we're pushing war with Iran, you'll get all these people displaced, and they'll want to... They'll start shipping them all over. They'll want America, Canada, all these other countries to take all these displaced people whose cultures don't line up with ours, and then we erode our own culture. It's very globalistic. I mean, to want to occupy Gaza and build up, I don't know what's going to be there, a Trump Tower. It's still very corporate. It's still very globalist, and it just makes me sad that this whole entire area has had to be destroyed. Yeah. So I don't know if Netanyahu knew that was the plan, but Trump's plan is for America to occupy Gaza now. And that also means that our soldiers have to go there and risk their lives. So we have to send our people there to possibly die. That's another problem that it represents. Let's see if we've got... Sean says it's part of the greater Israel project. Yep. And for Netanyahu, I think, and some of those rabbis, it's very Bible prophecy. I don't know. It's very religiously driven. So it makes me a little uneasy. I wasn't happy with it. And I'm not happy when I see MAGA people sharing, laughing, and thinking it's great. And it's going to be the MAGA strip now. It's just such a cruel reaction to real trauma. I think anyone who's saying that should literally have to go and be told to go dig up all the bodies, because there's tons of bodies lying everywhere in Gaza right now. 600,000 people gone, left, bombed, killed, murdered. I think they should have to go see the reality of what that means. It's not a fucking football game. It's not a fucking football game. All right. Let's get into USAID, something ID. USAID? People are saying it's USAID, USAID. All right. USAID stands for United States Agency for International Development. It's supposed to be a U.S. government agency, of course, that managed foreign aid and development assistance. But as we can tell, that's probably not what it's serving. Okay, we're going to get into that. What does it do? Helps country recovers from disasters, help countries escape poverty, help countries with democratic reforms, and provides humanitarian assistance. Looks all good on paper. It was established, I believe, by executive order in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy. So it can be undone. They're saying, oh, it can't be. It can't be. Yes, it can. And it has been. Okay. So let's check out the calamity Oh, there's a calamity. Trump has basically shut it down. Elon's in there getting into all the records and seeing he's into the treasury now as well. And they're literally analyzing the USAID. And they're saying basically it's a con. It's a con. It's a scam. It's absolutely abhorrent. And we will go over what some of the money is be spending on. And it certainly isn't just for disasters. It is actually spreading propaganda. It's probably another arm of the CIA, where they're using the money to go into different countries and disable their culture and push all sorts of crazy trans Marxist lunacy amongst other things. Okay, it is wackadoodle, crazy and disgusting. I'm actually not surprised that that's what they're doing. I'm literally I'm just I wish I could say that I was surprised, but I'm really not. This is what I'm going to share with you. This is a video here. The Democrats are desperately trying to access the USAID building when they realize it's closed down, and they are freaking out. They are freaking out, guys. They won't let them in. It's shut down. Elon Musk is in there. He's probably sleeping under the desk. He ain't going anywhere. And they're accessing all the records and realizing where the money's going. So here this is.
Hi, Chris. Pleased to meet you.
John Byron. Nice to meet you. Okay, so as you are aware, this agency is very busy currently, and they are not able to take a meeting currently. They advise that they will be in contact shortly, and that it's best to contact the Department of State at this time if you need any further comments.
Who is they?
The front office of the administrator.
So could I just ask, are you with AID?
I am.
Thank you for your service.
Well, thank you for what you do.
Are the Doge people here?
Where's Doge?
They're
in the building, bitches.
Correct. That's all I know. I don't know specific who Doge is or any of that. I just know that 8 employees are here. Although, as you are all aware, it's in the press. Everybody's been asked to telework. There are select people here to provide services for the agency. So the rest of them are all telework.
Are you career?
I am. Are you?
Thank
You guys are career
you.
as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
We want to thank you for your service. So there's no opportunity to...
They're ass kissing.
Unfortunately,
We
I
want to
don't-
thank
I
you
don't
for your
control that. I'm
service.
just here
Let
to
me in the
pass
building.
along the information. Thank you for
Ned,
coming,
you can
and
see
I'm sure you
Ilan Omar right on the right hand there.
Are you the senior civil servant here?
No, I am not the senior civil servant.
Here,
I have
today.
gray hair like you.
Today.
No, absolutely. Just gray hair. That's it. That's the senior part of me. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you
very
guys.
much.
I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So all these people have been told, no, you don't get access to the building. It's closed down. It's done. We had Sean Thompson say that USAID funded Political. They did so indeed. Political is the left-wing news rag. They actually leaked a story on, what was it, one of the Supreme Court justices, and almost caused like them to be attacked and killed. Like I've got an article on that. I actually have an article in 2015. When Trump first came in, the USAID started funneling money towards Political to write smear campaigns on Trump. They used that money that's supposed to go to humanitarian stuff to pay an organization to write litigious lies about Donald Trump. And they did it as soon as he came down that elevator and announced his candidacy. It was on the go. It was on the go, my friends. Let's have a look at what we found so far. And I actually have other stuff I've got to open up on my phone on Twitter. I have found more stuff that they have funded. I keep finding new fundings all the time. Let's go have a look at a list here I've got about what they were using the money for. And it wasn't to just help democracy. It was actually quite insane. You would only do this if you were absolutely crazy. So here's one list. I've got a few more to add that I'll look up here. Woo, this is crazy stuff, guys. Okay, I'm going to read it off to you. Tell me if you think any of this stuff is for humanitarian aid and helping democracy. So here we go. Maybe I should take a drink before I do this, guys. Here, my throat's getting dry. All right. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. $70,000 for production of a DEI musical in Ireland. $2.5 million for electric vehicles for Vietnam. $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia. $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. $45 million for DEI scholarships in Burma. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. For sex changes. $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt. $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes. $500,000 to promote atheism in Nepal. They're literally just doing globalist, satanic, crazy shit all over the world. They're not pushing hundreds of thousands of dollars for nonprofits linked to designated terrorist organizations, even after an inspector general launched an investigation. So they've been throwing money to terrorists. $1 million to EcoHealth Alliance, which was involved in research at the Wuhan lab. $20,000 drag shows in Ecuador. $520 million for consultant-driven ESG investments in Africa. That's that. It's almost like a score system that you have to have. They were gonna push it. It's like a BlackRock thing. So ESG investments in Africa, funding to print personalized contraceptive birth control devices in developing countries, hundreds of millions of dollars to fund irrigation canals, farm equipment, and even fertilizer used to support unprecedented poppy cultivation and heroin production in Afghanistan that benefited the Taliban, $2 million promoting tourism to Lebanon, $20 million for Sesame Street show in Iraq. Oh, I said Iran. On my post, it's Iraq. Sending Ukrainians to Paris Fashion Week. $9 million to feed Syrians ended up in terrorist hands. Hundreds of thousands of meals that went to Al-Qaeda affiliate fighter. And $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients. Wow. And I've got a couple of more here. USAID spent $607 million promoting abortion worldwide. The USAID gave $68+ million to the World Economic Forum. I've got the receipts here on that. Wow. And insane. So the political scandal is worse than you think. I'm going to read this from my phone because I don't have it up. The political scandal that we just talking about, it's not $8 million that Political received from USAID. It's $34.3 million that Political has received from various swampy federal government agencies. Political is without a doubt a totally corrupt propaganda arm of the swamp. Follow along. They gave them $34.5 million, and you can see it began in 2015. Who paid off Political? A veritable laundry list of the most corrupt federal agencies. They had the HHS, Department of Education, Department of Agriculture. They had the FDA, the EPA, the CDC sending them money. No wonder the propaganda from Political was in perfect alignment with the swamp on stories of critical national significance. Political propagated lies that Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't real, but a Russian disinformation, a vicious lie that changed the outcome of the 2020 election. Political was thoroughly subsidized by the U.S. federal government that yesterday they missed payroll, claiming it was a technical glitch. But do you believe them? Well, they just shut their money. They just shut their money down. So I guess nobody got paid from Political yesterday. So if you were working for Political, you were not a journalist. You were pushing propaganda. I mean, my God. Incognito says, don't forget they funded gain of function for COVID and more. Yes, they did. Yes, they most certainly did. It is insane. So that's been shut down. That is done. It has been shut down. Now, David Icke, I got a little clip of him because he's saying that the purpose of shutting a lot of these government agencies down might not just be for this, but I think it's a good thing that these are shut down because of the stuff that they were spreading, what they were pushing out. And it's clear that they have so much money and they're using our tax dollars to push out all of this propaganda that destroys the family. This is the Marxist little dream come true. It destroys the family. It destroys gender. It destroys, human nature, really. And they were pushing it out, encouraging people not to have children, depopulation, encouraging people to be LGBTQ, trans, gay. God knows what Sesame Street is saying these days. It's it's absolutely so crazy. Okay, so here's David Icke, and this is what he's saying about the USAID. He says, now, I'm not saying this is true. He's saying exactly what I've been warning about. Trump administration plans to deploy AI throughout the government. They want to rid employees because AI is planned to run the show, and that's why Musk and the tech oligarchs are all on board. Mega and the alternative media promoting these frauds. You are turkeys voting for Christmas and Thanksgiving. New leaks reveal Musk cronies plot to revamp federal government using AI, and that's coming from the Daily Beast. So Musk has an ulterior motive. We have to remember to this. Just like they have this vaccination motive, Musk's motive is to put AI throughout the whole entire government. That's why they keep talking about this AI. Let's see if we can go to the Daily Beast. Let's see if it will pop up here. We're going to pop up the Daily Beast actual article, and then we're going to move into that crazy ass cult. This is going to be a longer show than I thought, guys. I apologize. I can't find it. There it is. All right, here we go. New leak reveals Musk cronies plot to revamp the federal government using AI. Now, it's Nadika Chatterjee. I don't know if she's a liberal. She could be. Thomas Shedd, a former Tesla engineer who is now responsible for heading a team of government coders, is leading the charge. Now, she's saying a leaked recording on Tuesday revealed the Trump administration's plan to use AI to help rewrite a large chunk of the federal government's computer systems. One of Elon Musk's associates, who now holds a high-level government post in the Trump administration, also urged federal employees to push forward despite being told that his orders amounted to an illegal task, according to an audio of a meeting obtained by technology publication. Now, I think we have to be skeptical of this leak and realize it could be the Democrats, it could be all of them who are pushing it. So we have to be critical. Thomas Shedd, a former Tesla engineer who is now responsible for heading a team of government coders, explained to employees at a recent meeting how the Trump administration plans to deploy AI throughout the government. There you go. Just like a fun one that we've been thinking through with login, specifically TTS. As you most know, login can't access government information on individuals, and so there's no connection that login has with Social Security or any other government system. All right. Let's see. So they think there's going to be an intrusion of privacy. I'm not so sure if that's true or not. But I don't know. If this is true, this is going to be a big, there's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some big ass bumps going on here. So yes, they're finding out all these horrible things that they've donated money to. They're stopping the funding, but they're also getting into the system, using the treasury, and they want to have everything run on AI, Malil. I don't know. Maybe I'll go live like Nick Fuentes and David Duke and be off the system. Oh my God. Oh, it's so insane. It's absolutely fucking crazy what's happening here. I almost can't believe it. All right, so I've presented you a positive. I've also presented you an alternative where Elon Musk has alternative motives and it's all AI and computer orientated. Of course it is. But, they get us to focus on, oh my God, look where all this money's going. And it is crazy where the money's going. It is nuts, but I'm wondering what's going to actually be the replacement, which is basically an entire AI-run system. And if you know anything about AI, it is not perfect. It is not a human. Look what happens with that health CEO that got assassinated. They had AI running their health stuff, and they were turning people down for claims that they should have had accepted and allowing people to die. AI is just not good enough. And I'm sorry, I don't trust Elon Musk to that level. Oh my God. Just as I'm getting older, I knew it was going to happen. I'm going to be needing medical stuff soon, and that's it. And get in a system, and they're like, sorry, you're declined. AI just doesn't like you. Wow. Okay, guys, I had to take a little drink there. Let's get to a really interesting story. We're going to leave the USAID behind. I am sure there's going to be many crazy stuff that happens with Trump in these 4 years, and they're already trying to impeach him, by the way. They're trying to impeach this guy like they're not even waiting. It's like not even 1 month, and they are trying to talk about presenting filing for impeachment. It is so crazy. Okay, let's go over here. We're going to go and look at this cult. And this one, if you don't remember, I had a show with Dr. Karlyn Borysenko, and she deals with, she's a journalist, organizational psychologist, and she goes in and deals with everything about these Marxist cults, activists, crazy people. And so this kind of ties into that because I caught this story on her feed and on Andy No's feed. And if you know anything about Andy No, he's a journalist who basically was going after Antifa, especially during the 2020 riots. He's been attacked by Antifa a lot. Oh, can you see anything? What's going on? It looks like just a white screen. Ah, there we go. There we go. Okay. So this is a case of the radical Zizian vegan trans cult. They call themselves Sith vegans. It's really bizarre. And the shooting death of a border patrol agent. This is by Andy No. Andy No writes. Oh, got the video here. It's just 33 seconds. Andy No says, the murder of a U.S. Border Patrol agent near the Canadian border appears to be linked to radical leftist trans militant cult accused of killings across the country. Around a week before the January 20th attack, federal law enforcement has been surveying German national Felix Ophelia Buchholz, of University of Washington student, and Teresa Milo Consuelo Youngblood. Staff at Lyndonville, Vermont motel alerted authorities about seeing the duo with a firearm and black tactical clothing. When law enforcement visited them, the pair claimed to be looking at property in the area and promptly checked out of the motel on January 14th. Then on Inauguration Day, Border Patrol agent David Milan stopped their car in Coventry, Vermont. Youngblood allegedly shot at Milan, who was killed, and border agents returned fire, killing Buchholz, and Youngblood is now in custody. Youngblood. Authorities now say the guns used by Youngblood and Buchholz are owned by a person of interest in other murders and connected to a mysterious cult of transgender geniuses, that must be self-proclaimed, who follow a trans leader named Jack Lasota, also known as the alias Ziz, the Ziz cult, the Zizian cult. Buchholz was a biological male who identified as a trans and used feminine pronouns. He was an award-winning youth math genius from Freiburg, Germany, who later graduated from the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. Around 2021, he was hired as a quantitative trader at the Tower Research Capital in New York. It is believed Buchholz was in the U.S. on an H-1B visa. Wow, that's convenient. Way to go, Vivek. The Department of Justice says he was armed in the car and tried to aim his firearm before being shot dead. Youngblood, who is accused of firing the surprise shots that killed Air Force veteran Milan, was injured by return fire. Youngblood is a biological female who identifies as trans and lists as having neo-pronouns Z, them, zir on social media. Youngblood was a University of Washington student studying computer science. Her family had reported her missing to Seattle police in May 2024. Her family said she was in a controlling relationship and had cut off contact. Her social media accounts on Blue Sky, so she's followed some Antifa-aligned far-left accounts. In November 2024, Youngblood filed a marriage application with a 22-year-old fellow Lakeside alumnus named Maximilian Bentley Snyder. Last week, Snyder, and any pronouns computer science whiz from a wealthy Seattle family, was arrested in Vallejo, California for the murder of an elderly key witness set to testify in an upcoming attempted murder trial against alleged members of the trans extremist group. The arrest has revealed previously hidden close associations between Youngblood, Buckholt, and CULT, and a cult now linked to 4 killings. This is the ZIZ. This is the Lesotho guy. He's right here. There's a connection. There's like a murder of 3 seniors and now this guard agent, and they're going around whacking people. God, look at these people. That's a guy pretending. This is Emma with an Adam's apple. Awesome. I don't know what the fuck that is. This is, he was a victim. He survived. This is Maximilian. This is Youngblood with the pink hair. They always have pink hair. And this is Buckholt, who was shot dead. This is the Border Patrol agent, David Milan, who was shot dead. This is her parents. They were shot dead. And there is this guy. It kind of has this sort of weird Charles Manson feel to it, doesn't it? You got to wonder what's going on and who's involved. I don't know. What do you guys feel? What do you guys feel? I think there's some more to dig around. I think there's some more digging to do, my friends, because these guys are, and they could be funneling it themselves, but they're trannies. They have all this mental health. They're connected with some of these Antifa groups. And a lot of these Marxist groups are self-funded, and they're clearly mentally ill. But I don't know, guys. All right. I'm going to try to find... I want to see what Andy No is saying about this. Here we go. Let's have a look at Andy No.
I think we are learning details about a trans terror cell in the United States that has claimed a 4th victim. So the deadly shooting of the U.S. Border Patrol agent on Inauguration Day in Vermont near the Canadian border is not just a story about a homicide. According to court filings and my own reporting and interviews with somebody who knew the deceased German national, these are 2 people who are linked or members of a trans terror cell that was based in California, who was involved in 3 prior murders. I'm quite in shock. The murders happened in late 2022. There was one earlier this month, and then now in Vermont, that would bring the body count to 4
that we know of
people across the United States. Read my report, and I'm going to keep digging on this. There's a lot more to find out. Subscribe to me on X, follow my work, and let me know your reactions.
Okay, so like I told you that when Karlyn came on my show, we talked about their objectives, and if these guys are Marxists and they're trans Marxists, they believe that they want to do away with gender and all this identity stuff, because gender and the binary are a result of actually help produce children and property and produce capitalism. They want to get rid of it. Another thing that they don't like is they don't like borders, because in their perspective, borders are part of capitalism, and they want open borders. I literally want chaos and crazy. they claim they're geniuses, but clearly, obviously, they have some problems. They're seriously mentally ill. These ones, not all Marxists are, but these particular people are obviously very sick. They're not only killing border agents and killing other people, they're killing witnesses to trials and getting rid of stuff. And they've been allowed to roam around for years. Like what's going on, And I have one more article. Actually, I think Andy says more about this. He's got a whole thread. Yeah. Wow. So it says Curtis Lynn was able to shoot dead one of the trans assailants in Valhalla, California in 2022, who was part of the terror group that impaled him with a sword and stabbed him in the face and body, causing him to lose his eye. Trans person alleged that ZIZ member Amira D. Emma Borhan was killed by Lind. Lind barely survived, only to be assassinated on January 17, 2025. So they went back and killed him. The Texas House LGBTQ caucus honored Boranian, even though he died in the process of trying to murder an elderly victim. A GoFundMe campaign for his family raised tens of thousands of dollars for this psychopath. The Seattle suspect accused of killing the U.S. Border Patrol officer applied for the marriage license between Maximilian, who was arrested over the murder of Lind. Lind was set to be the key murder and attempted murder trial witness against the alleged members of the ZIZ trans terror group before he was stabbed in the neck and killed this month. There's that. Wow, it is just crazy. So I've got one more article I want to read to you guys about this because it goes into their ideology. It actually is kind of, I don't know if I would use the word interesting, but it tells you what they believe. Who are the Zizians? Who are these people? Do we really want to know if the page will load? It's not loading. Let's refresh it and see if we can get it up there. My internet is misbehaving. We're having some technical difficulties. I apologize. Let's just go here. I'm just going to share this and then I'm going to see if I can just go here. I'm just going to read it because it's not loading when I try to load it. So I'm just going to read you this thing. It is from Live Now, KRON Channel 4 by Phil Mayer, written January 29th, 2025. He writes, a spree of killings across the country, including one in Vallejo, have been linked to a radical online community called the Zizians. Not much is known about the Zizian, but a non-verified online webpage dedicated to preventing people from joining cults in the group calls it a peculiar online cult that operates in the Bay Area. An investigation by Open Vallejo found that people involved in the recent Vallejo killing and the shooting of a Border Patrol agent in Vermont are possibly connected to the group. Who are the Zizians? Open Vallejo reviewed police records, spoke to a person familiar with the group, and reviewed years of internet posts as part of its investigation in the group. The Zizians are self-described vegan Sith ideology. You got it right. Sith as in Sith Lord. Vegan Sith. These people are watching too many movies. Vegan Sith ideology. According to S-Fist, the Zizians appear to be a computer savvy and well educated, and many or all of them identify as transgender or non-binary. The group follows rationalism. Yeah. Okay, so that's an oxymoron. That they're transgender, non-binary, they don't believe exists, yet they say they follow rationalism. They don't follow rationalism. There's nothing rational about calling yourself vegan Sith and This reminds me of when I was in the 90s, you had this psycho teenage group that would do vampire role playing, run around killing people. It's actually has a similar vibe to it, except for they're trans and weird and computer techs. Jessica Taylor, a person familiar with the Zizians who was interviewed by Open Vahalo, told the publication that Zizians believe human decisions and their effects are mathematically quantifiable. Veganism and animal rights are a core part of the group's belief. Apparently, they don't have too much kindness for humans. The Zizians follow a person that goes by Ziz and ran a blog that is now shut down. Open Vahelo said Ziz, whose legal name is Jack Lasota, previously lived in the Vahelo property where the recent murder happened. Lasota was named by the San Francisco Chronicle of one of the 4 people arrested for protesting a Berkeley nonprofit in Sonoma County 2019. The protesters were allegedly wearing black robes and Guy Fawkes masks as they barricaded off an area where the nonprofit was holding an event. The website that warns people about the Zizians contains an in-depth description of their alleged fundamental beliefs. Wow. Let's see, what are those beliefs? Oh, wow. They have a whole website. The central character, oh my goodness. They have a whole story. It says the central character of our story is Ziz, who writes a blog called sinceriously.fyi. Sinceriously started out as a self-improvement calling, giving advice on motivational habits. Over time, it became a platform for Ziz to discuss her ethical and social theories. Before the Camp Meeker protests, Ziz was best known for her Rationalist Fleet project. Rationalist Fleet was supposed to be a way to avoid paying high Bay Area rents by living on boats. The idea was that if you could extract people from paying rent, they could spend time studying and still get access to the Bay Area network. As she tells it on her blog, Rationalist Fleet did not go well. Having moved to the Bay Area so she could work on AI risk, the dysfunction of the Bay wore her down. Her posts became progressively more bitter over time until the latest ones outright accused CFAR and MIRI of sexual and financial crimes. Shortly after these posts, Ziz and 4 others interrupted the alumni reunion with a mass protest. The accusations might seem like the motivation for protest, but even a quick glance at the flyer that was supposed to be given out shows there's more to the story. I mean, it goes into their philosophy of a functional decision theory, they call it, that's designed as an answer to Newcomb-like problems where the actions of others are conditional. I mean, I can't read all this. It's a huge, I'm going to throw it, Zizians.info. I mean, it tells you all about their cult. I'm going to pop it in the chat here for you guys. I'm going to pop it over in the chat on Rumble. I don't know. Hopefully you'll see. I don't know. I don't think you'll see it on X. I'll have to pop that up. But it is Zizian.info. Zizians.info. And it literally goes into all this information about it. For people who are rational, some of this doesn't make a lot of sense. They've got screenshots of their conversations. It just goes into deep theories. It goes into their cult tactics, uni-hemispheric sleep. It says one of the techniques that the Ziz uses to manipulate people is uni-hemispheric sleep. Is a form of sleep where only one half the brain rests at a time. Normally, it's not possible for a human to begin sleeping with only one hemisphere. However, a weak form can be achieved by stimulating one half the body and resting the other. Wow. And then they show you how to perform uni-hemispheric sleep. It must be some kind of mind control. Maya Pasek, cutting off support networks, jargon and loaded language, and this is total cult stuff. Creation of a new identity, so you create a new name. So lots of churches will do that. Wow. So you guys have to check this out. It's called Zizians.info. If you're interested, it tells you all about them, their purpose, their philosophy, their moral progress, their cult tactics. Yeah. It's pretty in-depth. Crazy stuff. So these guys are running about, and they're probably some kind of strange Marxist cult. Whew! What is going on in our world today? I used to talk about cults a lot. I did a show called Deprogrammed, and I did another show called The Secret Door, and we talked a lot about cults. And next week, I'm actually only going to be doing one day of streaming because I have so much stuff to get caught up around my house that I haven't been able to get to. And that stream, I'm actually going to review old documentaries on MKUltra and Jim Jones MKUltra. If you guys are interested, I'm going to do that on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm also going to be as a guest on a show on Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll put the links on my X if you guys want to go follow me there. Gen X News on X. I'm going to be talking about Jim Jones as a guest. We're going to go over that and the MKUltra. We're going to go over the ties to the CIA, and that maybe this whole Jonestown things was a big scheme. So when I see stuff like this and this Zizian cult and the fact that they attended universities and were computer science students, kind of geeky, kind of weird, they might not be really good with interacting with society. They've got all these weird trans ideas. They think because they're computer techie people that they're being rational, but they're actually not. When I see this, I got to wonder if there's another spin. I don't have that information yet. I can't give you the information that says, hey, this person has a family in the military, or this person was on, hormones, or, oh, this person was going to this clinic, or, hey, look, this person was in the CIA. I think maybe we'll find some of that out if this ever becomes a big story. As far as I know, it's not a huge story yet because I haven't heard it a lot. I haven't heard people freaking out about it, but it's a Zizian cult. And it tells me, that you get these enigmatic cult leaders and they're only appealing to fucked up people, to be quite honest. They're not appealing to normal people. You'll probably be repulsed by them, but they grab from all over. Jim Jones did that too. So they'll grab computer stuff. They'll use Star Wars Sith stuff. They'll grab from Marxism. They'll grab a whole bunch of stuff and they'll muddle it up with their own language and make their own cult. And it seems like what this is doing. And the fact that they're using this weird sleep technique tells me they've been exposed or researching some kind of mind manipulation. Jim Jones was responsible for that as well. He studied all sorts of this manipulation, went down to South America, did a whole bunch of crazy stuff on the dollar of the CIA, by the way. We'll get into that. We will get into that. But it's kind of creepy. And I always encourage people to, if you're a young person and you're out at university, I know it's hard. I know it's kind of freaky. I know it gets a little bit crazy, but stay in touch with your family. I know you think your family doesn't know what you're going through, but I bet you they do. Never lose your touch with your family, because that's the first thing these cults will try to do, is they'll try to separate you from the family. It's like step one, isolate you, love bomb you, make you feel really good, make you feel like you're part of something important. And then they're going to separate you from your family. Then they're going to isolate you and make all of your whole life depend on them, so you feel like you can't escape. Then they'll start all the manipulation, the abuse, the physical stuff, the mind control, the drugs, the make you change your identity, give up all your money and freedom. And, by the time you're in there thus far, you could even be killing for them. It's a very strange and crazy way, but it's literally verbatim how it happens. And the CIA is really responsible for a lot of these kind of things. I can't say they're linked to this, but it would be interesting to find out. All right, guys. So that's all I have for you today. It's a long show. I've been talking for a while. My voice is going hoarse. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, we have an interesting, kind of spooky topic. We've got Gary Parsons. He's coming back to the show. He's going to be talking about the Highgate Vampire. 4 p.m. Eastern. It has to be a little early. Gary's over in the United Kingdom, so I look forward to that. Join me, or you can watch it on the rerun, but make sure you're subscribing. Go to genxonx.com. Subscribe to something there. I recommend Rumble or X. You can always leave comments on X. I'm always on X doing stuff. Rumble, X, then there's YouTube. Those are the 3 live streaming platforms right now. You can also, if you go to the website, you'll find the audio podcast versions. You can listen to it after. It's got a shorter intro. I know some people don't like the 4-minute intro, but it's got to be that long when I'm streaming in. It gives people a chance to know we're here. Okay. So also, Substack, genxonx.substack.com. I'm there. All right. So I don't want to talk anymore, guys. That was a whole bunch of news. Whew, I can't believe we got through it all. Hopefully, I don't have a lot of hope about the Trump and Gaza stuff. The USAID, I'm glad it's being cleared out, but to what ends? What's the ulterior motive? You've always got to question that. And then cults. We're going to see a lot more of this crazy shit in the next 10 years, in the next 4 years, especially as Trump is carrying out his not radical, but he's getting to the point. He's getting things done. We're going to see a lot of these radicals. We have to be very careful. We also may see some other radicals on other ends with other details as we get more AI and more control centers from these big techs trying to control us and survey us more. The Elon Musks, the Larry Ellisons, the crazies, who, by the way, all gained money from COVID and promoting vaccinations, now are in there with Trump. So it's going to get crazy. The Marxists are still out there. The Antifas are still out there. The crazy globalists are still out there. The World Economic Forum, the bakers, they're all out there. And they want our blood. I'm going to go focus on something positive after this damn news show. I'll tell you that. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me. Cheers. Take care. Join me tomorrow.